Lesson 21. Where to from here? If you've made it all the way to this video, then you know the fundamentals, i.e. consonants, vowels, tonal marks, sounding out words, and the 4 Vietnamese accents. And you've grinded through all the vang. Congratulations! You should now in theory be able to read every single Vietnamese word, albeit slowly. You may forget some of the sounds, but the videos are always available to rewatch. You'll probably find it most helpful to use the timestamps to jump straight to the end of the video where I summarize the sounds. So what are the next steps? Well, now that you can read, writing is all a process of trial and error. Just give it a shot and check it against Google Translate. For example, how would you spell morning? Buổi sáng. If you speak with Giọng Nam, then any of these 4 could be buổi, and any of these 4 could be sáng. But when you check it against Google Translate, you'll see that this is the correct spelling. It's a slow and arduous process, but after a while, you'll remember the spelling. Formal Vietnamese lessons can give you some structure, or just like I've demonstrated, you can just học đại, rather than go đại học, if you know what I mean. With regards to speaking, it's all about practice. You won't get better unless you try. The journey of learning Viet is now up to you, and there are so many paths to take. Immerse yourself in the language, be it Viet subtitled songs or films, online media, newspapers, books, etc. Any words you don't know, Google Translate will be your best friend. But take it with a grain of salt. It's not always correct. Or you can just hỏi ba mẹ hay là thân nhân, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to help. Whichever resource you choose to use, there are 2 things to keep in mind. Firstly, what is the standard for the Vietnamese language? Secondly, the differences between pre-1975 and post-1975 Vietnamese language, i.e. Vietnamese spoken overseas versus Vietnamese spoken in the mainland. I'll be going through both of these key points in this video. The word for standard or conforming to standard is chuẩn. Ở Việt Nam, Giọng Hà Nội is considered to be chuẩn, standard. This is purely political and was not the case prior to 1975. Even though Giọng Hà Nội is now considered chuẩn, that does not mean it's correct from the linguistics point of view. Allow me to explain. If you've watched the lesson on accents, you'll know that Giọng Bắc or Giọng Hà Nội is not entirely accurate. To be fair, it's definitely more accurate than the other accents. However, they do mix up their consonants. For example, they say Dũng as Dũng. In fact, you'll see some Bắc speakers spell their D as a DZ to reflect this pronunciation. The Latinized Vietnamese written language was originally conceived to be a phonetic system, meaning how it's written is how it sounds. In that respect, không có giọng nào mà chuẩn hoàn toàn hết. Each giọng has their own ways of mispronouncing things. Overseas Vietnamese have a non-politicized idea of what chuẩn is, and this is the standard that I have taught in my lessons. That is, each consonant, vowel, dấu, and vang have their own unique sounds. We all know how things ought to be pronounced, but we acknowledge that barely anyone speaks in this perfect way. So in my lessons, I acknowledge and mention what the correct sounds should be, but all my examples are spoken with Giọng Nam, which is definitely not chuẩn. So the reason why I'm talking about this is that if you do online Vietnamese lessons, you may come across native Vietnamese teachers who will teach you according to their Hanoi standard, and will say that everything else is wrong. So you should take it with a grain of salt. Before I go on, I want to stress that I am not bagging out Giọng Bắc. In fact, how I see it, Giọng Bắc is more chuẩn than Giọng Trung or Giọng Nam. Okay, let's discuss the second point. The Tiếng Việt you grew up speaking with your parents is the pre-1975 version of Vietnamese spoken in South Vietnam. The Tiếng Việt spoken in the mainland has some minor differences which you may find peculiar. You'll find that the order of some words are reversed. For example, we tend to say bảo đảm. They tend to say đảm bảo. We say người Á Châu, người Âu Châu. Over there they say người Châu Á, người Châu Âu. You also see y or y dài be replaced with an y ngắn in some words, like in kỷ niệm or in hy vọng. I personally think it looks wrong with an y ngắn, but it's pronounced the same and it has the same meaning. In Vietnam, you'll find the Bắc alternative for a lot of words be preferentially used. For example, we would say nhà thương. In Vietnam, it's bệnh viện. Note that these differences are only generalizations. Nowadays, there's a varying degree of adoption of the mainland words. There are plenty more examples, but once again, these differences are minor and doesn't really impact understanding. It might just sound a little strange to us, and vice versa. So you may be in an online lesson with a teacher from Vietnam, and they may insist that your version of a word is wrong even though that's how your parents say it. Well, it's not wrong. It's just a slightly different evolution of the Vietnamese language. An exaggerated example of this in another language would be mainland Portuguese versus Brazilian Portuguese. There are plenty of great resources out there from Vietnam, and I definitely encourage you to look into them. Just have these two key points in mind as you immerse yourself into the language. Thanks for watching this video up to here. Please share if you found this helpful. I wish you all the best in your journey ahead. Catch you in the next video.